This is Doug DeMuro, and today I am going to update you on my cars. I'm going to do a garage update. Now, I haven't bought anything new, but it's been a while since I've done one of these updates. In fact, it's been almost exactly 6 months, and some new things have happened with my cars, so let's get started. Okay, first I am going to start with my new Land Rover Defender, my 2020 Defender, which is currently at the dealership service department. But not because something broke. Instead, it's because I am about to drive it across the country again for vacation this summer. I have done this already before. I drove it from California to Massachusetts and back. So it's been cross country twice already. Later this week, I am going to take it across country for the third time to Massachusetts again. And then in July, I will drive it back across country again to California for the fourth time. So my new Defender is really getting the miles put on. Now, this is pretty impressive. My new Defender already has about 13,000 miles on it, and I only picked it up the beginning of November. So I've only had it like 7 months, 13,000 miles, which is amazing considering I don't actually have a traditional commute. It's just a lot of miles on this car. And in fact, my Land Rover dealership service department, they told me that I have the highest mileage Defender that they service. And when I get back from this trip at the end of July, it should have about 20,000 miles on it. It will have been cross country 4 times before it's even a year old. That's pretty impressive for the new Defender. I'm really putting it through its paces, but so far so good. Mostly. There have been a few little issues. Now, the first one I mentioned in my last garage update, the sunroof stopped working. I pressed the button, it wouldn't open. That was traced to a loose connector. They just reconnected it and then it worked again. 2 other issues have cropped up in the last few months. One, it had a check engine light, which I posted on social media and everybody kind of laughed at. Check engine light, it is kind of funny, you know, Land Rover being Land Rover. And to drive that point home, a few weeks later, I was driving it, turned it on, check engine light was gone. So it self-healed. And that really sums up my Land Rover ownership experience in the past. They would come on, they would come off. You never really knew what was going on. And then last week or a couple weeks ago, I was driving it and I got a low coolant light. Now that one went off right away. I turned the car off, turned it back on. Low coolant light was gone, and it hasn't come back since, but a couple of warning lights. Now, it's at the dealership right now. They told me that the check engine light was related to like computers need to be updated or something like that. They did that and check engine light's gone, and obviously it hasn't been on for a while. Low coolant light, they said there was a service bulletin for the dealers that if that happens, you replace the coolant reservoir, like the plastic coolant tank. And so they did that. And so those things were done under warranty. And so those have been kind of my 3 issues: the sunroof breaking, the coolant, the check engine light. These are not big deals, of course. They haven't stranded me or anything like that. But they happened, but I was able to kind of address them at oil changes. So that's the big news in this garage update, driving the Defender across the country again. You can follow along on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Watch my journey progress. Later this week, I'm leaving, and then in July, I will be returning, so a lot of miles on the new Defender. Now, for those of you who really like the old quirky cars that I review, get excited because I'm not going to be filming any new videos when I'm on vacation for several weeks, and so there's be a lot of old quirky car videos going up this summer. Obviously, the new stuff, I'm going to have to wait until I get back from my vacation. So the old quirky cars are coming this summer because I'm going to be on this trip, but that is what's going to happen with the Defender. But anyway, next, let's move on to some other garage updates. There are some good ones. We're going to talk Audi Rs2, my prized and beloved Audi station wagon built by Porsche. Truly special car. This car has been shockingly great, actually. It's been very reliable and very good. Of course, it's an old Audi, so very good is kind of a relative term. For instance, the other day I went to pick it up from the storage facility where I keep it, you know, when it's not here, I kind of switch my cars out all the time. And I get in it to drive it home and I put the window down, window doesn't go down. Okay, passenger window doesn't go down. Okay, sunroof doesn't open. So none of the windows or whatever are working. This was actually a pretty easy fix. We just replaced a fuse and everything worked again, and it has worked ever since. But, you know, you still get these electrical problems with these older Audis. Kind of was expecting that, and that's what I've gotten a little bit. And frankly, I kind of expect these gremlins. You know, occasionally I'll get a warning light in the dashboard saying the brake lights, when a brake light is out, but they're not out. I am obsessive about it. I check every time I get the warning light. They're always working just fine, so that's off too. There's some electrical gremlins, but that's kind of what I expected. Generally speaking, in terms of driving the car, it's been great. It's tremendously fun to drive. I love using this car. I love driving it. It's so much fun, and I'm so thrilled that I have one. And frankly, I've been driving it a ton. Honestly, I've been almost daily driving it. I've probably put like 2,000 miles on it this year alone, which is pretty good considering all the other miles I know, on the other cars that I have, that sort of thing. And a lot of it is just kind of normal use. Driving the dog around, he gets in the back, no problem. Running errands, just kind of having fun. It's a great car. Okay, so let's talk about the other cars. My yellow Defender. That car got a check engine light the other day while I was driving it home from the service place. They had just done an oil change. Driving it home, check engine light went on. Now, with this car, I'm used to check engine lights and I don't really pursue them immediately. It's just kind of the way you live with that car. It kind of always perpetually has something wrong with it. But I decided to take it back to my Land Rover shop to get looked at, just because it is also going on vacation with me on the East Coast. I don't really want it to break down during that time. So they looked at it and they diagnosed the check engine light was. They found a leak in the catalytic converter, and they also replaced some oxygen sensors. Interestingly, they said one of the oxygen sensors was wedged too far in to replace it, but they were able to replace the others. The check engine light is now off for now. Which is important because, like I said, my yellow Defender has been shipped off to Massachusetts, where it also will be on vacation. It can't really break down while I'm on vacation. It'll be very stressful and annoying. It has done that once, and I hope it will never do that again. But that car has been good. I don't really drive it all that much, but I do love it, and I will drive it a lot this summer. You'll see a lot of pictures on my social media of the yellow Defender. Okay, next up, interesting car update. My G500 Cabriolet, Mercedes G-Wagon, that also broke down recently, which was a huge surprise to me. I posted this picture of it. It was actually kind of funny. I went to film a Lamborghini Yalpa, which is sort of a famously unreliable, disastrous car. And I show up in the G-Wagon and I film the Yalpa. And I'm kind of laughing about the Yalpa with the owner, like, oh, this thing's so unreliable, you know. He's like, yeah, they're terrible. And then it was my car that broke down. The Yalpa did fine through the whole shoot. My car, I go to drive away at the end, turn it, and it won't turn. Well, it turned out it was the steering lock that had broken. And the people I know who have these older G-Wagons have told me that that was the only issue they ever had, was the steering locks kind of fail on all of them. But unfortunately it required a tow, and I had to tow it up this incredibly steep driveway. And getting a tow down here and getting it up the driveway was unbelievable. The tow truck driver did a fantastic job making this work. I was incredibly stressed about the whole thing, how it would get up there. The steering was locked in place. But it did it, and it made it up there, and the Mercedes-Benz dealer, Mercedes of Escondido, actually did this repair, and they were able to get it fixed, and it was, you know, no real problem. It was an expensive fix, and I got it done. But I'm happy to say, you know, the newer G-Wagons are kind of known for having some reliability issues. The older ones like mine, they're really, really bulletproof. I was shocked that it broke down, but like I said, people have told me they have these older G-Wagons. That's really the only big issue that they've had to deal with, and so I'm happy that it happened in a driveway where I could get to it rather than out off-roading where I take it sometime. And by the way, I want to make a quick point here. I've already mentioned the first cars I've talked about have all had some reliability issue crop up in the last 6 months. Probably wondering, why do you continue to buy these unreliable cars? You know, like Scotty Kilmer, the YouTuber, he makes fun of me. Like, that reliability is so important in these cars. Reliability is not all that important to me, actually. I want my cars to be fun and interesting and exciting and cool, and reliability is like 12th on my list of things that I think about when I'm buying a car. So I know that's crazy for a lot of people, but when your life is cars, and when you just want to be driving something fun and interesting always, and when you're not usually going somewhere that important, like I'm not commuting to work and I have to be there at a certain time, reliability, again, I would rather have something cool. And so I get that a lot of people don't understand that, but if you're in the car, you know, I don't understand why people spend a lot of money on watches. It's not my thing, but people do, and they're into it, and I let that go. I spend money on cool and interesting cars. It's what I do. Sometimes they're unreliable, and that's just life, and I don't really mind. So keep that in mind when talking about reliability. Now, speaking of reliability, the Ford GT has been great. That car, I drive it all the time now. There was a period after I bought that car for like 2 years where I was kind of intimidated by it, and I actually kind of off and on talked about selling it for that whole period. I was like, I don't know, this car's so expensive, it's kind of dangerous, I'm not really sure I want it. And for some reason, the last 6 months, I've really started to come into this, like, I actually am not intimidated by it anymore. I drive it, it's fine, it's great. And I've been driving that car a ton, everywhere. I just took it on a 600-mile round trip in it. Then drove it about 200 miles to go film the Hyundai Ioniq 5. His video went up this week. It's just the best. It's a truly great car. Everything about it I love. I love driving it. I love how it feels, sounds, looks, drives. etc. Amazingly bulletproof reliability, and I have zero interest in getting rid of it. Except for maybe if I could get a heritage version, that would be nice. So those are the cars. A lot is actually happening here. There's sort of an ever-present danger of the cars. One of them might not be working at any given moment. Although generally, the way that I view the reliability of my cars is Ford GT is first. I think that's probably my most reliable car, followed by the green Defender, really close by. I mean, it's a new car. It's had a little issues, but it's new. It's fine. And then the G500 Cabriolet, which never breaks down, except for that time it broke down. Other than that, I'm not really sure if the RS2 and the yellow Defender are ever going to strand me at any given moment. But they're fun and they are exciting, so I use them a lot. But I can never really guarantee that any of the cars will be working perfectly. But you just kind of hope. But there you go. That is my garage update. And be sure to follow along on my social media, Instagram, whatever, to see pictures from my giant Defender road trip. It should be about 8,000 total miles. On this trip over the next like 2 months, and it should be fun, assuming it makes it, let's hope. But that's my garage update.